Hello and welcome back to the Pit Wall podcast, where today we are talking all about the Monaco Grand Prix, a race where not a whole lot happened except for in the first lap.
Yes.
But enough happened that I got to start the podcast.
Yeah, which is insane. Congrats to your yearly, annual podcast start.
One and done,
Don't
baby.
get used to it.
I mentioned this to Kendra the other day when I was on here.
Yeah.
Mercedes has only won a single race since we started the podcast.
I'm
think
just
about
my good
that
luck
for a
charm.
Just think about that for a second. Yeah, you're fired. I legally do not have the power to fire you.
The second that Kendra gets on the podcast, who does better?
Mercedes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, she has to make a 1 second appearance minimum.
We're just going to flash a picture of her at the very end of each episode.
Well, before we get started, be sure to like, subscribe, follow at the Pitwall Pod. And I'm going to do Quali in 60. I'll time it, but I'm going to take like a little more time if I feel like I need to, just because it's Monaco.
Yeah, for sure.
And as we all know, big shock, qualifying equals race result, basically.
Yeah.
So here we go. 3, 2, 1. So first thing to note is that both Haas's did qualify, but they both got disqualified at the end of it for technical non-compliance. So all of these are going to be a little funky, but just go with it. Bottom two, we had both Saubers. Not a great day from either of them. The big name of the day was that Checo Perez was all the way down in P16. Ugh. Red Bull just struggled all weekend. Yeah. Logie Sargent beat out a Red Bull in P15, but did not make the top. It did not make Q2 because of the Haas's. Yeah. Fernando Alonso in P14. Like, what? Lance Stroll P13 again. What? Daniel Ricciardo P12. I mean, we're not really surprised by Stroll, but
Yeah.
Ocon and Gasly 11-10. Alpine making a slight improvement. Albon P9 for Williams. Way to go. Yuki P8. Man, Yuki is tearing it up this season. Lewis P7. Max Verstappen P6. Beat out by George Russell in P5. And then Lando, Sainz, Oscar, Leclerc on pole, setting him up once again for either great success or big heartbreak. And so that was Quali in 80.
Quali was way more exciting than the race after lap 1.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about lap 1 last. So let's kind of fly through some of the other stuff that happened. But so actually, we'll talk about lap 1 and Leclerc last.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, who do you want to talk about? You want to fly through a few drivers?
Yeah. I mean, I'll talk about Max. I mean, lowest we've seen him in a while, excluding DNFs.
Yeah.
Just like you said, Red Bull struggled all weekend, like both cars, even Max. And like in his qualifying, he hit the wall, ruined his pole lap. So he didn't really have a chance to win other than like just getting lucky.
This was another one of those weekends where I just didn't believe Max the whole time. I was like, yeah. Oh, the car's
He'll pull it off eventually.
Because he did that. He was complaining last year.
Yeah.
And then he pulled off what is one of the most unbelievable, at least one sector pole positions in F1 history.
Yeah.
So I wasn't expecting that, but I was expecting him to still get pole.
Yeah. I was hoping that wouldn't cause any issues, but apparently it did. So, I mean, he got P6, which I'm happy with, considering what happened to Checo, which we'll get into.
Damage limitation.
Yeah.
The Mercedes, the top 10 finished where they started, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
So, which is the first time in F1 history that's ever happened, in the exact order. Mercedes qualified P5 and 7, finished P5 and 7. Lewis Hamilton after said that George Russell is going to out-qualify him for the rest of the season. So Lewis is very realistic about how he's in his qualifying form recently. He's been saying it for a long time. But it's just odd because every time on Fridays, I expect Mercedes to get worse. Like I'm not buying into the Friday delusion anymore.
Yeah.
But he's always beating George Russell, and then something happens. I don't know. Maybe George is better at making last-minute tweaks, but either way, Lewis got beat out by George Russell, and because it was Monaco. Watching Max and Lewis start next to each other twice, though, was terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
They did, I think, hit a little bit at the opening corner of the first lap.
Yeah.
And that was terrifying.
It looked a little close for comfort.
The war flashbacks I had there for a minute, man. It was terrifying.
Well, my prediction was kind of correct.
Yep.
For Alpine. I'm going to talk about Gasly.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, Gasly finished P10, so he got a point.
Yeah.
But Ocon's the bigger story.
Ocon, it's like what's it called? When Checo and Ocon were teammates.
Yes, it
just
is
constantly
like that.
fighting. Well, Ocon crashed into Pierre and ruined his race. I mean, had to retire the car. I mean, and then now he's being threatened by his own team that there's going to be consequences.
During the race, he was being threatened.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like this.
No.
It's very unprofessional.
I mean, it's Alpine. It doesn't shock me that it's Alpine. It shocks me that it's happening.
I mean, apparently there were team orders not to fight during this race.
Yeah.
But to go that far, and not to mention, he also has a penalty for the next race that he competes in. So if they don't, he has a 5-place grid penalty next race.
Yep.
Which is very interesting considering it was also on lap 1 compared to some other stuff that happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, it was dumb. It was dumb. That car went flying. See, they didn't show us that before. They just showed his car in the garage, and we were like, "What?
Yeah,
happened?" So
he had to go back and watch it, or go back and find it just to see what had happened. Talk about Stroll.
Yeah,
P14. So I mean, he was like, third from last from who finished the race. Suffered a puncture because he put himself into a barrier.
Whoa,
shocking. But was able to regain, overtook Zhou and Sargent for 14th. So actually could have finished last, but got P14th.
He gave us some overtakes.
Yeah. I mean, what Monaco offers is not much other than qualifying, and he gave us a little bit.
Dude, man. How it's every time. And Alonso finished, I actually didn't write it down, but I'm pretty sure he finished I'm sorry, I forgot to write it down because I was thinking about 11. Okay, I'm correct.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it wrong. He finished P11.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, he spent all this time making this gap for Stroll to give Stroll a pit stop.
Yep.
And then Stroll ruins the tires.
Yeah.
And Stroll with that pace, maybe could have gotten Gasly towards the end of the race. Yeah. So all that hard work, just totally worthless.
Yeah, but it's Stroll, so I mean, we're not shocked.
Kind of expected. I'm like, why is Alonso helping him? Also, Aston and their updates,
dude,
man, just totally worthless.
Yeah, it's a garbage can, man.
Well, speaking of a team that I think can beat Aston, I think RB is going to beat Aston by the end of the season.
I think so too.
Because Yuki got P8, and it's like slowly but surely chipping away at their lead.
Yeah.
And not to mention, I've mentioned this a few times, Mercedes can do no wrong at this point. They can't get to P3 and P2, and they can't lose to Aston.
Yeah.
They can't. It's just like it would have to go drastically wrong at this point. At this point, Aston could 1-2, and Mercedes could double DNF, which obviously is never going to happen. The Aston part, Mercedes could double DNF.
Yeah,
it's happened. And they would still barely be beating Mercedes. And RB is only 20 points behind them.
Yeah, Yuki is carrying this team right now.
Oh yeah,
like for sure.
Yeah, how was Danny Rick's race?
A P12. So I mean, could be worse, but I mean. I feel like if some people hadn't have crashed out, it probably would have been worse for him. He was also stuck behind, like you said, Alonso, who was trying to create a gap for Stroll. So he's going slow compared to normal.
Yeah.
Ricardo was stuck behind him pretty much the entirety of like the last 3/4 of the race. So didn't expect much coming from that. So
nothing really happened with Sauber either. They are now at the very bottom. Because Bottas finished P13. Nothing to really talk about. Got overtaken.
Joe was P16. Yeah,
rough day for them. And the reason that they're not at the very bottom is because Alex Albon scored points. P9. It was also pointed out to me that I absolutely demolished you this week in our thing.
Gosh.
I am burying you in this.
You are.
And you even had an Alpine score this time.
I know.
Your Achilles heel actually wasn't the problem this week.
Yeah.
More or less.
Yeah.
So I actually think I want to talk about Leclerc next. Actually, hold on. We didn't talk about McLaren. So let's talk about McLaren and then. So Lando finished P4. he was kind of unlucky, sort of. I feel like because of when they threw the red flag at the beginning of the race, because he maybe could have had a podium.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about Piastri and then also Sainz.
Yeah. Piastri was P2. Honestly, solid race. Like qualifying was like 0.7 or I forgot. It was very close to Leclerc's time. I think it was
Yeah, it was 0.0 something, I'm pretty sure. Well, either way, Piastri
0.015 or something like that.
Piastri has been quick math here. Yeah, you're right about that. Oh, math is difficult. Well, anyway,
very close to Leclerc's time. Held his position for the entirety of the race, and like
he's having a great stint.
Yeah,
he's very strong.
I was very happy to see him at least P2, and that's also his highest finish.
Yep.
In Formula One,
he kind of seemed like maybe he thought he could have won, but
yeah,
it is what it is. I think they got unlucky because of what happened with Sainz. If you want to talk about that,
yeah. So Sainz, saved by a red flag, by the way, had a crash or not a crash. He like hit Piastri and ended up going off track. And luckily, the same lap there was a red flag. Otherwise, he would have been screwed for the race. He somehow ended up on the podium, P3, after that.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know how he did it.
I seriously don't.
It was a great race. I think him surviving, him getting back, gave Leclerc the win.
Yeah.
So Leclerc won Monaco.
That's insane.
The second curse in 1 month broken. Lando and Leclerc in basically the same little stint. And we all knew it was going to happen, and the race was super boring or whatever, but I was on edge the whole time because of Leclerc. Because I was like, something always happens. And but because of that, McLaren was not able to harass Leclerc as much, because they could have tried to sacrifice Lando to get Piastri the win, and pit stops and stuff like that happened. But the red flag totally saved them in two different ways, because one, they did not have to stop again, and everybody ran their tires into oblivion. George Russell ran medium tires for 77 laps, which beats out the previous record of 67 and a half-ish laps of Lewis Hamilton, who also complained the last time this happened on mediums. So with like not too much deg. So anyway, Leclerc won. That's all that matters. All of his possible luck was on his side.
Oh yeah,
because I think he still would have won, for the record, with all the things. But like even Stroll turning into the pit and getting in the pit before his tire fell out prevented a safety car.
Yeah,
which just imagine. Like maybe Ferrari doesn't quite get ready in time, and they bring Lando in, and then Piastri has a free stop. Like it gets crazy. But Sainz being there saved them.
Oh yeah.
So
also the victory monologue of Leclerc going down on the final lap. If you haven't watched it, look it up.
Beautiful.
It's emotional, amazing. Like it's just everything you would want out of watching Charles Leclerc across the finish line. That's it.
I did not know about the thing about his dad.
Oh yeah.
And
I'd seen it in a video about him like not too long ago.
Dude, that made me almost cry.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, like that is like crazy.
It was emotional.
All right, and then I have one more question for you about this race.
Okay.
Which is before we talk about the big moment.
Yeah.
Do you think Leclerc's diving into the harbor photo is better than Daniel Ricciardo's diving into the pool photo?
Yes, because hopefully Charles Leclerc doesn't ruin his career after this.
Yeah. Okay. So the equivalent would be
honestly, like
Leclerc to Sauber.
That's tough because like Daniel Ricciardo's is like
Daniel Ricciardo was a harder win, I will say.
Yeah, and it's like just that photo alone, but it's also like he dove into a pool.
Leclerc's dive is perfect.
Yeah.
Have you the angle, dude?
Yeah.
That man is a swimmer.
The video of him diving was amazing.
Satisfying.
And also that Fred was in the shot.
Satisfying.
I think it kind of makes it more iconic. And the fact that he's, a Montez.
Yeah.
Like,
it's his water.
Yeah. Like he grew up on this water. Like I think so.
Well, I was very impressed by Leclerc. I'm so happy for him. He just destroyed this whole weekend. Every session. He did what he meant to do. He seemed pretty calm, like the whole thing. I can't believe it.
Last year he did a vlog during Monaco.
Oh,
I really hope he did another.
Well, I've seen a lot of videos of him partying afterward.
Hey, did you see him riding his bike home?
Yes.
He rode his bike home after
Incredible.
winning the Monaco Grand Prix.
That's power right there.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's talk about the big incident of the race. Dawson, I'll let you explain it because your driver was the biggest hurt boy.
I'll break it down step by step. So basically, you have, in order, you have Checo in front, and behind him to his right is Magnussen.
Mm-hmm.
Behind Magnussen to the left, on the left side of the track, is Hülkenberg. Magnussen tries to squeeze by Perez on the right, ends up hitting the wall himself before even touching Perez, which is why I say it's 1,000% K-Mag's fault. I don't know why people on social media were saying it couldn't be his fault. 100% is. Watch Hülkenberg's view, and you can see it clearly. So he tries to squeeze Perez on the right side, ends up hitting Perez, crushing his car against a barrier, and taking Hülkenberg out. And so basically ruining any chance for a Haas to get, I mean, they weren't getting points, but any finish, and just taking Perez's car and turning it into a crushed Red Bull can.
And almost severely injuring some photographers on the side of the track as well, because no one crashes there.
Yeah.
No one crashes there. Dude, Kevin Magnussen is now forever going to be referred to as Darth Denmark. Okay?
Darth Denmark.
Dude, because dude, I'm so done with him. I'm so done, and everybody online was all acting all cute, like, oh, he's saving the season before Lando won. No, we have a legitimate season now.
Yeah.
Okay? There's none of this moving off the track crap. And the fact, I mean, and you agree with this.
Yes.
The fact that there was no investigation, the fact that they just moved on, it's insane.
He crushed Perez's car.
Dude, like, you know me, I like to make fun of Checo. I'm going to be honest. I did kind of laugh at first. But once I knew Checo was okay, because at first I was like, "Oh my God, is Checo dead?" Like I was actually concerned.
Yeah, I mean he got crushed,
and I was laughing because it's Red Bull.
Yeah,
but then I was like, "Dude, K-Mag."
Yeah.
Like the fact that I
was furious,
dude. Yeah, and it took out Hülkenberg too. Hülkenberg, who's leaving the team, the first thing he said was, "I'm so sorry that we're not both going to finish."
The only one that's also doing well in Haas,
and he cares. He has a bigger. He's going to a bigger team. He's going to a front running competitor-ish team in Audi, and we hope, we think, they're trying to be the budget that they're putting into it.
Yeah,
absolutely insane. Can't believe it.
I was so furious and the fact that he tried to blame Checo.
Yeah, he immediately tried to blame Checo. Yeah. Oh, dude, it's insane.
Like you can't. I had to watch it a few times, and then I saw it from Hülkenberg's perspective, where K-Mag literally puts himself into the wall first.
Yeah.
Then hits Checo.
Also, I just don't think he was entitled to space anyway.
No, he wasn't.
And the fact that he doesn't take any time. He doesn't say, "I'm sorry" to the team.
Yeah.
He just looks at it. He doesn't look at it. He just assumes it was Checo's fault. Or he's that delusional and looked at it.
Where, like you said about this, like he didn't have rights to that space because up the next turn, you have to get to the right to fit the apex.
It's insane, dude. It's insane.
Like there's no way he could have got. They would have either crashed where they did
or later
or at that turn because of K-Mag. Either way.
And it's not like this was like they're both rookies and it's practice one. And it's like, oh, they didn't know. And again, I don't know why that would happen. I just can't think of anything. And a perfect example of other people being more competent than K-Mag, go look. You can find it later. Look up Ollie Behrman overtaking Kimi Antonelli in the F2 race.
Mm-hmm.
They left so much space.
Yeah.
These are two F2 drivers, both more competent than Kevin Magnussen. Now, both of them have future world champion potential. Like Antonelli definitely does. And Behrman had a unique chance. But I'm just saying, there cannot be drivers in F1 less competent than F2. And I could live with Stroll. I could live with Stroll. And that's the thing is I used to be a K-Mag fan. Like, I like Kevin Magnussen, but I've totally turned against him in these last couple weeks to where right now he's front runner menace of the year for me because at least Stroll is just nepotism. Like, at least there's like a reason.
Yeah.
Kevin Magnussen is just driving on purpose like this. Yeah. So, and he's also he's making a complete mockery of the sport and also the penalty point system.
That is the main reason I was furious. I was like, Checo wasn't finishing it anyway. Like, the car's ruined. That makes me mad. But Kevin Magnussen has 2 remaining penalty points, and not a single one was taken this race. And for him crushing a car and taking out his teammate. And
Alonso got 3 in a sprint.
Yeah.
3 in a sprint for like a slight tag.
That makes no sense.
It makes no sense. It's because they don't really use it. They don't. Yeah. They do not really use it. All right. Well, anyway, I'm just done with K-Mag. I can't even think about it anymore. So just give me your winner and loser for this race, Dawson. It's kind of a tough.
He's your driver. I'm going to give you the obvious. Winner going to be Piastri.
Oh, okay.
Best finish in his since his Formula One start. So I think he deserves that. Loser. Hulkenberg, honestly.
Yeah.
He got it. I think, like, Perez put himself in that position. I'm talking about P16, not in the wall. Yeah. Crushed. Hulkenberg, like, probably would have finished ahead of all of them. So I'm going to say Hulkenberg. He didn't deserve that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Not that Checo didn't, but.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's like, well, Checo can't be putting himself down there.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not his fault, but, like, he could have done. Yeah. He could have helped himself.
Like, Haas is there for a reason. Haas is meant to be, well, you know, they're a low-end team.
Yeah.
Red Bull is not. Red Bull is leading the Constructors' Championship.
Barely.
Yes, but they are leading. I'm not wrong.
We have a constructor battle on our hands.
We do.
Winner, Charles Leclerc. Yeah. I mean, come on. Dude, so good for him. It was so awesome to watch.
Yeah.
All the, like, demons have been exercised at this point.
I hope so.
The only thing that's left for, like, a curse that's left on the grid, basically, because, like, the Bahrain curse isn't the Monza curse. It could still exist.
Yeah.
Max has crashed there before. Is the being over 300 Grand Prix and winning a race curse. Yeah. So, like, Lewis and Alonso. I don't see either of those happening this year.
Well, maybe next year.
Yeah. And maybe some craziness at one race where it rains. Yeah. One of them, something could happen. Yeah. I just don't see Alonso getting there.
Alonso, I think I could
maybe
see
Lewis. Yeah. Maybe like a wet Brazil. Yeah. Anyway, loser. I'm gonna give it to Logan Sargent. I know it's he's kind of catching shade for something that he didn't do wrong, but man, they just kind of screwed him on the strategy. They admitted this. And every race that is a race that he could do better at. Yeah. It's just the time is ticking. Cause like now Albon scored 2 points. Yeah. You know, like it's like why wasn't he P10 to 12? And I'm not trying to get on him. It's just, it's not great.
He didn't get upgrades.
But not enough.
No, I said he didn't.
Oh, it didn't get upgrades.
Yeah, it didn't get upgrades. That Albon did get again.
So, I don't know.
Would that have made a difference? I don't know.
Well, anyway, that's about it. Thank you so much for watching. Come back next week where we have our predictions for the Canadian Grand Prix. So, we'll see you on the next one.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.